And welcome back to another Subconscious Mind Mastery podcast. Thomas Miller back with you on the road, coming from my favorite place in the world. I'm in Aspen. No skiing. This is a purposeful trip to escape heat. I told Majana that it's like sometimes there's just going to come a breaking point, and it's been hot across the whole middle part of the country right now. And, by the time you've dealt with it for June and July and August, this is, when you talk about resistance, sometimes you just have, if you can remove the element of resistance, you just do it, right? Like, get out of town, Jack. But I guess when we get back, it will be hot still, so I'll get to deal with the remnant of the resistance when I get home. All right. I have said all along that I do these podcasts when I get the inspiration of something to do. I've never done these on a schedule just because it was a certain day. And I've been focusing a lot on the daily astrology podcast. So if you've not found Fun Astrology, go over there and pick that up. And then Majana has some new episodes coming too on Life After Life. So we just got the podcast family going here and would love to have you jump into all of them. But one of the messages that just keeps coming up for me here lately is summarized in one word, and that is structure. This is the interpretation that I'm basically leaning into around this astrological phenomenon, this astronomical phenomenon, really, that is certainly has astrological meanings, and that is the alignment of Pluto and Saturn that will take place in early January of next year. And the whole structure behind that, or the whole, it's like embedded in my brain. The whole thing about this is structure. Because it's happening in Saturn's home sign of Capricorn. That's all about structure. It is Saturn, which represents structure. And, as I've started to study these energies, and that's all this is, right? It's just energy. And I realized in my own life how off-center I was with the purpose that Saturn wanted to guide me into. And when that happens, I'm narrating this new audiobook for Stephen Forrest. He has a great line in there. This isn't exactly it, but it's the gist of it, is that in our life, the universe gives us all the tools or circumstances or anything that we need in order to accomplish our karmic purpose. And we can either find those tools and follow them without resistance, or, as he says, we can just do it the hard way, And after having done it the hard way for so long, I'm just looking for all the little subtle clues of what would make this easier. Like, how can we get on the path and just enjoy the benefit of the energy of support from the universe, rather than, obviously, the club and stick approach, right? So that's what I've been looking for through all of this. And the thing that just keeps coming up is structure. And I've been seeing so many areas of loose structure. Case in point, what's in the headlines as this podcast is being recorded is the impeachment of President Trump. Those of you listening to this 2 years from now will know the rest of the story, but right now we don't. But what we are seeing is daily news headlines about loose structure. And this is not a political comment at all. Please don't go there. I'm just saying, if there was more structure, then there wouldn't be these gaping holes to try to drive a truck through. I worked for a company several years ago that did not have good structure. And one of those gut punches that I've been dealing with is around that lack of structure. Here, several years later, it has come back to be in my space. I've got a friend who runs a business that doesn't have good structure, and he is suffering tremendously from that right now. And I know you could make your own list. So I would suggest maybe even this could be a little bit of an interactive podcast, because you'll really get this. If you pause this for just a second, and if something hasn't already just come to mind quickly, think about where there is a lack of structure, either in your own life or by observation that you have seen in other areas. So seriously, I would say just pause for a second, even if it's just for a quick little second and think of areas where you do not see structure. And what do I mean by structure, too, by the way, is I'm talking about just a good, firm, solid foundation. You know I don't do this often, but there's a great comment from Jesus in the Bible where he says, if you build your house on sand, the winds and the storm will come against it and it will be destroyed. If you build your house on a solid, firm foundation, which Jesus was saying were his words, his teachings, then the gates of hell can come against it and the structure will not fall down. That's what I'm talking about, is a firm, solid, grounded foundation. And that's in every area of your life. You could do a quick self-examination and just say, and take all of the main categories or areas of your life, everything that you touch every day, and just say, is this at its best foundation? I've been doing that, going through my life and picking that apart. So, yeah, if you haven't reflected on this, just think about it for a second, because this is where the cosmic energy is flowing right now. Big time. So it's going to come in one of two ways. Either it's going to come as the club to align you with the purpose or to open up and look at these areas of your life. So if you've been experiencing extra pressure in a particular area of your life, then that's the universe trying to get your attention to look at that area. And then, like Stephen Forrest was saying, let's do it the easy way, right? Let's do it the simple way. And that is to just, through your meditation, through your daily work, through doing some yoga, whatever it is that brings that up and out for you, hiking up in the mountains in the fall, that when you get that internal awareness that an area of your life needs some work, then you just start doing the work and go with what you've got, and the resources will come if you'll just start taking steps in that direction. So these could come in the form of just areas that surface that you just know. You like, I need to get this squared away better. I need to firm up my relationship. There are things that I do in my relationship that are too loose. And again, don't swing the pendulum too far the other side. I'm not talking about wearing a straitjacket for the rest of your life. I'm talking about areas that are just too loose, that need a better base, that need more solidity to them. Maybe it's an unresolved area from the past, something you brought in with you. I'm doing all these soul blueprint readings now. If you go to funastrology.com and go to the consults area, you'll see people have just, wow, what a response on that. And that's what we're dealing with, is these areas. What did we bring in with us to take a look at? Another way you can pick these apart is if a recurring pattern keeps showing up in your life, something that over and over, it's like you can't seem to either get past it or it's just out of nowhere, it just keeps showing up. That is like a universal arrow going, here, focus here. Or if your friends say that there's something in your life that they keep pointing out to you, just always alert to the signposts, because the universe will drop them along, and it's up to us to be aware and conscious of what those signs are. Another big area where this is showing up is in relationships and friendships. You know the saying, you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with. Count those 5. Who are they in your life? And what structure do they have in their lives? Are they the kind of people that if some of them could just rub off on you, which it does, would you want that? And if you can't answer hell yes, the answer is hell no. I've had to look at that one without judgment, and that's a difficult thing to do, but you have to look at it objectively. And I think that might be one of the greater sniff tests right there, is just if this person's attributes and qualities rubbed off on me a little like some stardust trickling down, and I caught that part of them, would I be okay with that? And I know we all have our bag of stuff, right? We all have our bag of stuff. I'm just saying, people that are moving in a certain directions in their life have certain attributes. And often good structure, good solid structure, solid is another good word, but people who have those areas buttoned down in their life. And I know, again, this is not a judgmental thing. I hope you get what I'm trying to say here, is just you always want to be around people that can lift you up, right? Not bring you down. So if somebody has a bunch of loose, structured ends unraveling, because that's what's happening in this energy. all those loose ends are unraveling. They're unwinding. They're being challenged. They're being called out, like people say. I'm calling you out on your stuff, right? Well, that's what's happening. The universe is calling out these loose structures. And another thought that came to mind is that these often show up in our lives because of fear. These are the neglected areas in our life that are left incomplete because we're afraid to go there. And again, that's stuff from the past that we're looking at in these node readings is what we brought in, that unresolved karma that came with us, that when you think back to elementary school and you think of characteristics that you had, were generally probably brought in. So in many cases, we are afraid, or just that energy could be so strong that we resist dealing with those areas, and then over time they just become unstructured. We keep sweeping them under the carpet, and finally, voila, one day we have to deal with it. So what are the keys? Awareness, consciousness. And I'm saying that from the standpoint of, because you're listening to a podcast like this, you are on a consciousness or awareness journey. You have your eyes open. You're looking for the answers. You're trying to improve your life in these ways. And I think the energy right now is so strong to support that, like Stephen Forrest said, let's get on the right side of the plumb here. We can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. I choose the easy way. That's through awareness. If you don't have a daily practice that you're doing, please start one. Meditating, journaling, scripting, writing, Kundalini yoga. And by the way, still my offer stands. If you want that Kundalini morning routine that I've been doing, email me, thomas@subconsciousmindmastery.com, and I'll send it to you. That's a system that's designed to bring your energy up. And when you do, then your intuition goes up. It's one of the reasons I came up here is I just needed some hiking time. And Majana knew it. She actually said, you need to go. You need to go to Colorado. And then I turned around, and she's never seen fall colors, so I flipped the deal, and she's flying in right now. She's on a plane right now while I'm recording this coming up here because I want her to see the fall colors. So we're going to get a couple of days in up here together too. But I've had a couple of great days just by myself to work it out. And that's when this structure thing has just become so brilliantly bright. And I wanted to share it with you. So the keys are awareness, attention, doing the work. And this isn't just making lists. See, the thing about this work is you have to take actions. You have to really take steps. So as you find loose areas or unstructured areas in your life, the best way to do it is to start making a punch list or an action list or a to-do list. Get in motion. Something that you can check off as done is the best way to handle this. And it will morph, right? Give yourself all kinds of latitude. Give the universe all kinds of latitude to guide and direct you. But at least you get moving in the direction, and then the answers will start coming. And I'm not kidding when I say that this is so powerful, and we haven't seen this energy for at least 250 years. And every time you go back and look in history, this energy took us from the Dark Ages to the Renaissance. It took us from Catholic oppression to the Protestant Reformation. It took us from British rule to the United States of America, freedom. And in every case, there was a war against the establishment. There was a war that had to take down the old. And that's the battle that you're experiencing. If you're in the middle of this, it's knocking down the old structures. Or as you look at the headlines in our news or at the lives of other people and you see these areas showing up in their lives, this is payback time. And that can be tough. But the end result, if you look at history, is always positive. So that was the message that I wanted to get out today. Look at the areas of your life that need structure and get busy. All right, we will see you soon. Check out the other podcasts. And if you haven't joined the Facebook group page, come to Facebook and search Subconscious Mind Mastery Listeners. And you know what? I always really appreciate kind and good 5-star comments on iTunes because that helps keep this podcast up at that very valuable space. When you search iTunes and you see Subconscious Mind Mastery first, that takes a lot to get there, and it takes your support. So if you don't mind and you have just 2 minutes, log into iTunes and leave a good review. I would really appreciate that. Namaste. Enjoy the journey. I'm Thomas Miller. Thanks for listening.